the love of liberty, in the fires of hope and prayer, with boundless faith in our destiny, we solemnly declare, side by side we stand, islands of the blue Caribbean Sea, this our native land, we pledge our lives to thee. Here every creed and race find an equal place, and may God bless our nation. Here every creed and race find an equal place, and may God bless our
Heavenly Father, we come before you at the start of this new day, giving thanks for life, for health, and the opportunity to serve through this station. We ask for your divine presence to guide us in all we do. Bless this broadcast, that it may be a source of inspiration, joy, and unity to all who tune in. Whether near or far, may our words uplift, our music heal, and our message bring light to those who need it most. We pray for our listeners, wherever they may be. Grant them strength for the day ahead, peace in their hearts, and success in all they put their hands to. Cover those traveling with your protection, and those at home with your comfort and provision. Lord, may everything we do bring honor to you and be a blessing to others. Guide our steps, bless our efforts, and let this station be a vessel of positivity and hope. In your name we pray. Amen.
Your voice, your soundtrack, your station. New Era TT Radio. Net Radio.
Anytime you bounce up a racist and you hear them running them out, it have a whole set of people don't care what they talking about. A racist is someone living happy and all their family doing well. So race talk is really not for people in the ghetto catching hell. Now tell them racists, sufferers don't care about color. Sufferers don't care about race. Sufferers shedding tears. No, tell them racist sufferers don't care about color. Sufferers don't care about race. Sufferers don't care who migrate from where or who living in who place. Sufferers don't care who from country. Sufferers don't care who from tongue. Sufferers only want to hear where the next food coming from.
Wake up, rise up. It's the Net Radio Breakfast Show, bringing you the energy, music, and vibes to start your day right.
Energy vibes to make sure we start your day very, very right. Good morning, everybody, wherever you may be. Good to have you here. It is New Era TT Radio, the pride and joy of the Caribbean, and of course, we are taking you above and beyond. Good looking Friday morning it is. We welcome you wherever you may be, Trinidad and Tobago, neighbors in the Caribbean, friends who stream all around the world. Thank you very much for coming across. Much thanks to the Heavenly Father for bringing us together for another day, and everything that we do, dear God, let it be a blessing on to you. Sir Charles, that is me. And of course, we are so happy to have you this morning. Remember, this is your Get Up and Go. Welcome, everybody, to the Breakfast Show.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Wake up, it's a brand new dawn. The Breakfast Show got the vibes turned on. From Maracas Bay to the Savannah line. Let's start the day in Caribbean prime. Good vibes rolling through the air. The Breakfast Show, energy everywhere. We talk, we laugh, we make you think. Grab your doubles for your morning drink.
Oh my God, it's Friday! It's Friday, people! And you know we live for Friday on the Breakfast Show. So we celebrate Fridays like no other. The weekend has begun. Officially, Friday is here. Put a smile on your face. It doesn't matter if that coworker giving you beans or upsetting you every time you see their face. Today is Friday. Smile at them and say good morning and move with a skip in your step. We know those people. We know who they are. So you have a fantastic Friday. Not that anybody spoiled it for you. So I want to say a big good morning to all of our listeners and viewers wherever you are on the planet, in Trinidad and Tobago, up the Caribbean, and of course across the planet, wherever you are watching us on YouTube, Facebook, on M&E TV, listening to us on TuneIn, wherever you are. A big Friday morning to you from the Breakfast Show. Of course, Wendell is not here today. Regrettably, he has to be absent today, but don't worry, I'm keeping you company, and Sir Charles is keeping you company, and all of the Bacchanal in Trinidad and Tobago is keeping you company, and all of the Bacchanal in the globe, I guess, is keeping you company this morning. And we are going to touch on a lot of them. Of course, we have a special guest today. Rachael N. Collymore will be joining us in the next hour, and you'll be wondering, who is Rachael N. Collymore? But I'll tell you who she is. She is a WIPO-certified IP trainer who's going to be discussing copyright with us this morning, and the whole issue, of course, connected to that Black Stalin photograph and the court case that awarded $300,000 plus to photographer Angelo Marcel concerning his IP property and how it was used. Of course, it's still it's the subject of an appeal by Black Stalin's wife, but not so much the case, but the circumstances surrounding the case is what we're going to be discussing, and the issue of copyright, and are you in fact breaking copyright and you don't even know it? We'll be discussing all of that in the next hour, and so that's our guest. You should not miss that conversation, because it's a conversation. If you like to post up content on Facebook, etc., or Instagram or TikTok, it's a conversation you need to hear.
Yeah. So, and that's a good question. Yes, are you doing that? So many people take people's stuff and claim
Yep.
it.
So, so it'll be an interesting conversation. But it's Friday morning, and let's get ourselves in the Friday morning mood because I don't give a damn because I am in control this morning when El Cash shut me up.
Is for all of you who hating on me and telling me I have to get out of here ever since my carnival incident. Let me tell you something now. I'm not leaving the country. And no, you can't make me. I am a real tranny, cause that's how my mama made me. Every time you see me in the grocery, you wanna pick cause you recognize me. Shit talking in the comments crazy. I know you hating, but I'm still too sexy. I'm not going nowhere. No, I'm staying here. Cause I'm curvy and I wear two-piece and I'm sweet and all the Trini men love me. So I'm not leaving the country. And no, you can't make me. I am a real Trini, cause that's how my mama made me. Hi, my name is Gabby Faye. I eat Trini food every day. So what if my breast's swinging? I'm still a hot gal outside blinging. TNT is just too sweet. TNT is where I wanna be. And the double stand, I'm a rocket speech. The internet thinks they can bully me, but they can't. I have self-esteem. My self-confidence is high key. You can catch me at Times Square and Nike. And the truth is, you just wanna be like me. So I'm not leaving the country. And no, you can't make me. I am a real tranny, cause that's how my mama made me.
All right, a little Gabby Faye to put you in the Friday morning mood and perk you up if it is that you were slow. You could have been doing a little dance in the kitchen, getting your breakfast ready on this Friday morning.
Gabby make an encore performance
I
a whole week later.
because I say so. I have a lot of I say so people these days. And we're going to get into it, but let me touch on it a little bit. Some of the utterances coming from the current Prime Minister is kind of very reflective in terms of its tone of that which was there before. And so we'll touch on that because I criticize Dr. Rowley sometimes in how he approached certain issues, how he communicated with certain issues, and how he dealt with certain issues from a communicative style point of view. And if I think the current Prime Minister is also falling into that trap, I am going to say so, because that's what we do on The Breakfast Show. But you know what? Good morning and good news is up next. So let's get into our good news segment.
I could never let you go, Miss Ocean. Girl, I'm coming home, I wanna see you again. All day through the night, I'm dreaming. Yeah. Miss Ocean, when you turn it up, make it smooth, my darling. When outside is pouring rain, put up what's on the fire. Bubbling, you're bubbling it over. Raise the temperature higher. Coming in closer. Make the thing catch on fire. It's all on the ground, all over the counter. With that pot on the fire. It's your cocotiana. I barely could concentrate. I feel like sugar rush in my vein. One cup it does make my day. I'm missing it when I'm gonna love her. Eat me up. Only you alone can bring fire back in your soul. Eat me up. Yeah, you are that thing I could never leave you alone. No.
So, you may be wondering why I played this good news, because of course it's Cass. One. And two, it's actually a fitness class in the United Kingdom. So just showing, how ubiquitous soca has become and in fitness studios across the planet. So that's actually a fitness class in the UK where they are using, cocoa tea as motivation to get fit. So I just liked it. It brought a smile to my face, and I hope it brought a smile to your face too.
Yeah, well, when it comes to that kind of fitness, kizumba kind of thing, soca music is really fitting well.
Yeah, it certainly does. And of course, this is the point at which we go to saying good morning to all of the people in the stream. So let me start by moving on and going straight into that. So of course, Susan Jessup was first this morning.
On 12 o'clock, you know.
Yeah, 12. Was it 12? Yes, 12 a.m. on the dot. You're right, Sir
It's
Charles.
the real time that one today, you know.
She was 12 on the dot. Oh my goodness. But and all right, let me get back to it. So that's Susan Jessup. She was first. And then we had Melissa Schaffler saying good morning. Boy Badesi from DB, good morning, everyone. Anthony Tinto, Grand Rising to the Breakfast Crew. Marlon Motley, good morning, Marlon. Saying good morning to all. Arena Jennings, good morning, guys, from Pity Valley. Brent Hackshaw, good morning. Ambrose Blanc, good morning to the Breakfast Crew. Sharon Seeley, saying good morning. Marcia Rock, Juliet Carr, Patricia Defoe, Blessed Rising all, happy Friday. Carol Guevara, thank God it's Friday, trust me. Joyce Phillip, these are all people in the stream that said good morning. Early o'clock, and some of them are Ossie Molyneux. Here is Grand Rising Foods. That's Chris Tousse, I believe. Blessed morning from Ingrid in Tucson. Good morning, Ingrid. Trinidad Margot says good morning. Kathy and Charles says good morning. Miguel Gonzalez said good morning. Julia S. Batiste, especially good morning to you, Julia. Good morning, Sir Charles and all from Donna Ramlo-chan. Robert Taylor says good morning. I forgot else. Good morning. Morning, Wendell's not here. You have one important question for him. Michael Robinson, out of Yokohama in Japan. Good morning, Michael.
Japan.
Valerie Mendoza, good morning to the breakfast team. Steph says, reminder to self that I need to become carnival focused. Good morning, Annie. Blonde woman in the white was talking about the exercise. Yeah. Good morning, Ty, says DL. Slick Money Grip, good morning, gentlemen, and the crew. Good morning to you, Slick Money Grip. Fantastic Friday morning to all, says romantic, intense, and passionate love maker. Lord, you already needed those adjectives. Magic. Diane Payne says good morning. Aye. Evans David, good morning, guys. Great show. You all should have weekend programs. Oh, you want to come out on Saturday and Sundays?
Yeah, no rest for you, boy. No rest.
You understand? Sir Charles? Good morning, guys. Also good news to all of the working auxiliary fire officers, right, who are going to be incorporated
good
into
news,
the regulars by the new Ministry of Homeland Security. That's good news.
That's excellent.
Yeah. So that's good news too. Good morning, guys. Hazelwell. We also have a Trini chef on one of those programs that had made to the finals. I can't remember her name right off the top of my head. That's also good news. Good morning, guys. Wendy and James says good morning. And Gemma Brewster says good morning. So good morning, Gemma. How are you, Gemma? Good morning to you. A special good morning to you, Gemma. All right, so that's just some of the people who are in our stream this morning. And I was just giving you an idea of it as the breakfast show starts on this Friday morning. And let me take a sip of my coffee.
Also, good morning to Hazel. She just came in at the bottom of dear Richard. And then
no, I clicked her. I saw her.
Oh, okay.
I did.
Right.
I didn't see Angeline Celestine. I didn't see.
Okay. So good morning to the people on the WhatsApp who are coming through the app. So Wendy and James, good morning to you. Frank, have a great day. Terry Ann Peters, always right here with us. And Archbishop Ashton Clark, who's probably still celebrating his birthday. Yeah, all those are people who are coming in this morning. Thank you very much.
I know Wendell usually do birthdays, but I don't have a list of birthdays like Wendell does.
Yeah, Wendell. It's really keeping contact with their birthdays.
You understand? So anyway,
and then I remember it and all kind of thing.
Yeah. Of course, most importantly, and lest I forget, and I would not forget, theater is on this weekend. So you have a busy weekend to go to. And of course, the Married and Mischievous, which is for adults only, is on at Queen's Hall this weekend on Saturday at 8:30 and Sunday at 6:30. And because I can.
Port of Spain, we are finally here. RSRR Productions, Married and Mischievous, finally comes to Port of Spain at Queen's Hall for 2 nights only on Saturday the 24th of May at 8:30 p.m. and Sunday the 25th at 6:30 p.m. Come see the play that everybody's talking about, strictly for adults only. The Scandalous, Married and Mischievous at Queen's Hall. Tickets available at all our usual outlets and at the Queen's Hall box office. This is not just a play, it's an experience. Don't miss it.
You know, of course, the play is on, and you should get your tickets ASAP at Queen's Hall because those tickets are going in droves, and you should not miss it. I know some special guests are coming Saturday night who are going to come backstage after I'm not letting it out of the bag, but a special good morning to all of you if you're listening. But you should get your tickets early. Of course, tickets are available at the Queen's Hall box office. Where is the base? You can get tickets. They're open from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. daily. And you can also get tickets at the usual outlets. K-Squared Fashions at West Mall, Brentwood Mall, and Eastgates. They have tickets. I don't know how much they have remaining, but they have tickets. Electronics in Arima, for those of you in Arima who want to come to Queen's Hall. And of course, Jabili Rawi in Tunapuna, and Tony's Florals in Val Park Shopping Plaza, and Champlain Auto Services. They all have tickets. So that's where you can get your tickets to Queen's Hall. And Queen's Hall is a wonderful theater. And of course, Queen's Hall also is
one of the best we have.
It's also a very technically capable theater. So it always takes shows to a different level in terms of how you could utilize the lighting and sound. You know, each theater has its own technical capabilities, in case you didn't know. And Queen's Hall is one of the top-notch ones.
Yeah, they have really good staff and things for things like that too.
Yeah, absolutely. But anyway, let's get into the Bacchanal, and I say Bacchanal. And I would have touched on something this morning when I said that the current Prime Minister was very critical sometimes of Dr. Rowley in terms of how he spoke to the country. And we know he had a particular kind of style that was very
abrasive,
come across very aggressive sometimes, very buffing in a kind of a way sometimes. You all know what I'm talking about. I don't have to repeat it or relitigate it. And so the Prime Minister, of course, is seeming to mirror Dr. Rowley in a particular kind of way in terms of her tone, specifically with this issue of the UE campus. Remember, we brought up the UE campus earlier in the week, and apparently the government wants it to be a law campus, and UE wants it to be a global medical campus. So they're at odds, okay? UE is saying global medical, the government is saying law. And so... And that's why I was trying to get on to Professor Rosemary Bell Antoine, who is the principal of UE. And she has indicated that she's prepared to do an interview. So hopefully we'll get her on next week concerning the issue. But this is one of the dailies this morning. And I'm just going to read for you some of the story. All right. Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar has issued a stern warning to the University of the West Indies administration to not interfere with plans to open a law school at the University South Campus in Debe. The campus began being built under the UNC-led People's Partnership Coalition government, blah, blah, blah. We know all about that. On May 20th, Orapooch East MP, Dr. Rudal Nubilal, toured the campus, which falls within the constituency, and expressed disappointment over the state of disrepair. Now, we did that. And remember, we went through that story when that happened. He said while some parts of the campus were operational, with 75% of the campus derelict, rusty, and overrun with vegetation. Despite the state of the facility, UE, in a statement on May 19th, said classes would start at the campus in August, right? So they did say that. The campus will be home of the newly launched Global School of Medicine, leveraging the world-ranked reputation of the UE and especially the UE's Faculty of Medicine to serve primarily international students pursuing the Doctor of Medicine, the MD program. All right. However, in an emotive delivery while speaking at the post-cabinet media briefing on May 22nd, that's yesterday, Persad-Bissessar said UE would not be allowed to dictate the uses for the campus. That campus will house what the government says it will house. The administration will have no say in that. They cannot dictate to us what they want to put there. Criticizing the plans of the medical school, she added, I don't know where they come up with this thing. Don't we have the Cuba Hospital? That's what that was for. Now, contextualize that with the discussion we had yesterday with Edith Stewart, all right? We did the San Fernando Teaching Hospital. So what you coming now with? Some global medicine? Where you get that from? She also dismissed UWI's assertions of an August opening date. It will not happen on August 1st. I don't know where and who came up with that. That is going to be open, that it is going to be opened in August. Because when the ministers visited the place, it is a total horror story. Prasad Bissessa said she would not allow UWI to sabotage and take over the government plans for the campus. She said while the initial plans were for a law campus, the government had some additional ideas. We were clear then, and we are clearer now, and 10 years later, we can do much more. Yes, we said a law facility, and we talked about forensics and law enforcement training, but now with AI and technology in the world, there are other areas you can explore for training our children. She threatened the university that there would be consequences if they fail to support the government's vision for the campus. I am warning UWI administrators, do not test me. If we have to do it, I will take the campus back and put it under government control to make sure we complete it and get the job done. She lambasted UWI's administrators and the previous government for not utilizing the facility in the years since its completion. I think the biggest betrayal with this whole thing was by the administrators and those in charge of UWI. You have not done nothing for 10 years and don't come and say now and cry now about what you can and cannot do. And you didn't even tell us why you didn't do it. So don't come and put thing in the papers like you're running it. She called on UWI administrators to step aside and let the government go on with the business of opening the campus. And I just some of this. Yeah, no. But the tone, why is it that our leaders feel the need to dictate from above rather than having a sensible and civil conversation with the principal of UWI, because the UWI is a regional institution, and it's a regional institution that many people who are listening to this program attended. Have a conversation. Why does it have to play out like this in the public, and why do you have to draw the lines in the ground and say, don't test me? Because you're becoming a mirror of that which you criticized before in terms of your tone and your communicative style. If what the newspapers here is saying is accurate, let me put that caveat. If what they're saying is accurate, don't become maybe something with people with surnames that begin with the letter K. I don't know. I do not know.
Yeah. No, but I'm wondering, because you remember people would have gone into those areas when parties change and that sort of thing with probably carrying out mandates and agendas and that sort of thing. I mean, it's just early days. It's just less than 3 weeks. So I'm wondering, how much discussion would have taken.
Exactly.
You put out that kind of tone, we're not even in discussions. It come like they don't make a decision, or we are just against that.
But Parliament isn't yet. So Charles, Parliament has not even opened. It is opening today. And yet you have all of these messages and posturing that is taking place. And I'm like, you courted the electorate now, and take this too. This was one of the lower voter turnout, is 53%. So it means a whopping 47% of the country did not vote. One, did not feel that either of you were worth the time of going to a polling booth. 47% of the country. That's one. And two, out of the 53% that voted for you, a portion did not. They voted for other parties and they voted for the PNM. So I'm just saying, if part of your coalition of interest is about a new way of doing the politics from the buffing that people would have criticized Dr. Rowley for his communicative style and how he said it, and at points it was very well deserved in terms of how he spoke to the country and the kind of talking down, you don't want the communicative style to be replicated before even Parliament opens. Isn't this something that UE and the government can sit down and say, but let's hear why you think it should be a global medical campus? Because UE obviously is facing a certain amount of financial constraints as a result of student intake. This is a problem that universities across the planet are having in terms of student intake, especially when you have to pay. I know US universities are having that problem in monitoring student intake, and it's made even worse under some of the provisions of the Trump administration and how aggressive they are with regard to international students. Look at what Harvard is going through. And so I know they're looking at ways to monetize it. So I mean, I hope that Professor Rosemary Belantwine is going to speak with us next week, because it'll be interesting to get the UE's perspective. And if it is that people are shouting in terms of the media, of course, media likes a bacchanal. We like a bacchanal. There's stuff to talk about. But if this program is the program that has to facilitate some discourse on what the issues are and how we can get from A to B, then so be it. So Professor Rosemary Belantwine, I'm holding you to coming on to the program next week, if you can, and let's discuss it and let's see why you all want to make it a global medical facility for international students to get their MD program. And let's talk about it as a country. We do not need Trinidad and Tobago to be backbiting each other in a very globally competitive environment where other countries are zooming already ahead of the curve digitally and in so many other areas. So, I mean, that's just my take on it. And I just felt that a lot of the communication on the issue, why it is that we have to move to communicating styles that seem to be so difficult.
Yeah, opposite sides of the fence.
Yeah, in terms of dealing with issues.
Yeah, because you get a feeling that that not much consultation has really taken place, and there's this wall that is already up there. I don't know, probably on both sides. You know, everybody seems to want to defend their territory, and government wants to push its agendas to get. You know,
no, I don't blame the government. The government, you put an agenda before the electorate. 53% of the population may have voted, but that 53% dictated who gets into power. So you have a right to pursue what your agenda is. Don't get me wrong. You did what was required to pursue that. So I can't blame you for wanting to pursue your agenda. But we also live in a small island space. And part of the criticism of the previous government was the measures and ways in which they, some of the communicative style in dealing with some of these issues. So you don't want to, and how that was facilitated. So you want to make sure that, you know, your communicative style is more agreeable in terms of what you're putting out there. But of course, don't test me, you know, the government did what they're going to do and we're going to do it, and you know, all of that. So I don't know. It just, you know, it's just a word of caution, I guess.
But we watch and see where it goes from here, you know. Yeah, when people already indicating certain things, you know. But who knows? Maybe on the next occasion it might be a little more cordial, Richard.
Well, I mean, okay, yeah, okay, Sir Charles.
Yeah, let's hope for that.
Yeah, I'm saying okay. Other things happening, of course. That UE issue is a big one, but I just also wanted to talk about the fact that what the Prime Minister also did raise yesterday in the postcard was asking about the property tax and the government to account for the $135 million collected in property tax payments. So what she was saying, she broke down the payments by regional corporations. The Tunapuna Piarco Corporation earned the most, raking in $22.2 million. That was followed by Diego Martin with 16.9, Kuva Tabaki Talparo 16.7, and Shogunas 11.5 million. And rounding out the top 5 most lucrative regional corporations, the San Fernando City Corporation was close behind, earning 11.3, while the Pinel Deva Corporation 10.8. Most of the other regional corporations managed double figures, with Rio Claro, Mayaro earning the least 1.6, while the Tobago House of Assembly received 4.07 million in payments. Prasad Bissessa said the amount collected was as high as it was because people chose to ignore her warnings. I told them, don't pay it. I warn people, do not pay this property tax money. But if you want to pay, pay. It's a free country. If you decided to pay, that is on you. Okay?
Don't look back to that thing.
And so she said, if you decided to pay, that was on you.
Yeah. So, because, some people...
Speaking of the former local government minister, Faris Albari, she said, I want to ask Faris and others, what did you do with the money you collected for the property tax? What have you done with the millions you collected from property tax? And in response, Albari suggested that that question should be directed not to him, but to the Minister of Finance, Dave Tanku.
Well, there are people in the ministry who should know where that money is.
Well,
And they said that all these permanent secretaries and all these other individuals are the ones who run the ministry, and that's all. They are the ones who are supposed to be answering those questions.
Well, I guess. But anyway, let me just go through. It's time for the headlines before we get to taking some of your calls. So let me just get to the headlines and then we'll take some of your calls. All right? So the headlines for this morning. I'll start with the Newsday because it's the one in front of me. So the Newsday for Friday, May 23rd, 2025, PM. Government plans for DB campus will not be sabotaged. Don't test me, Yui. That's the headline on the front page of the Newsday. Don't test me, Yui. And there's a picture of the Prime Minister looking very dare I say the words?
Soon.
No, that's not the word, Sir Charles.
Serious?
Go to the back of the class.
Okay.
Buffing. Looking very buffing. That's what she looks. She has the face of somebody who just buffed you.
Yeah, but how you just use like buffing? Prime Minister buffing?
Yeah, because that's what Dr. Raleigh was accused of.
No, I know, but what he did, but that's the act, but the description of the look.
Yeah, very buffing. Trust me. You want to see the look?
Read.
Look.
When they're not here, read.
Look.
Well, check him out.
Buffing.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Very buffing. That's the look that that's how I describe the look.
Yes, that is Richard's description of the look.
I am describing the look. And who makes that's on the business. I don't really care because we are doing the morning show. But she looked very buffing to me.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the Prime Minister this morning. Putting UE in their place. I don't know how UE is well, I want to hear, but in part of me really wants and would like to hear the bacchanal from the other side. We love the bacchanal too, and kind of.
Yeah.
But that's the front page of the news. Let me continue with the rest. And on the back page, naked to lift lives by sport in school communities. I intend to bring sexy back. Naked to lift lives by sport in schools and communities. I intend to bring sexy back because sexy went somewhere. And TTFA VP Unity Cup, an opportunity for foreign contracts. And there is David Naked kicking football.
But that would be interesting because he has constantly criticized what has been happening in sports. So it will be interesting to see now, how he is part of that ministry, what kind of things will take place. I look forward to it.
Or you want your sexy back, Sir Charles?
I ain't talking about the sexy part.
You want the sexy back. You want your sexy back. Well, go and get your sexy back.
What happened with sport? Trinidad and Tobago sport moving forward. That is what I'm interested in. Me and sexy.
Talk about that. You talk about bringing sexy back. Anyway.
It's the uniform.
Don't test me. That's the front page of the Guardian. So that don't test me. Oh my God, that's a Kaiso for next year. Don't test me. That is a Kaiso for next year for sure. Oh God! And just because we can, there's a kaizo for next year.
This for all of you who hating on me and telling me I have to get out of here ever since my carnival incident. Let me tell you something now. I'm not
Don't
leaving
test
the
me.
country. And no, you
Don't
can't
test
make
me.
me. I
Don't
am a real
test me.
Jenny.
Sorry, Gabby Faye, I just went on your rhythm a little bit.
Yeah.
So don't test me. PM threatens to take back David campus amid impasse with UE officials. Ghost rentals said to be costing state $208 million and 625 priority bus route passes recalled. Oh my goodness. So 625 priority bus route passes recalled. Okay.
Free up the priority. Everybody, all go back on the main road and the highway.
625 people ain't cluttering up the priority bus. Come on, Sir Charles. Sammy scolds timid Windies. That's on the back page of the Trinidad and Tobago Guardian. And that's it for the front and the back of the Guardian. Moving on to the Express. PM calls on landlords to lower prices, clamp down on $500 million in rents. Rather than clamping down on the government rents, I hope that this current administration will look at the issue of the landlord-tenant relationship, which still operates under archaic law, and will look at rent control or rent, the issues for how rent and landlord and tenant disputes can be settled in a more modern way than it is now. That's what it should be. That's something I hope they put on the agenda. But Wendell and I have an opinion that that's not tackled because half of the people who sit in Parliament are landlords. But
Then and now?
always.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
PM calls on landlords to lower prices, clamp down on $500 million in rents, $500 million in contracted security services under review, $135 million collected in property tax. Where did it go? 625 bus route passes recalled. All of that is on the front page of the Express. The Minister in the office of the Prime Minister, Daryl Alahar, left, and Parliamentary Secretary in the Ministry of Sport and Youth Affairs, Senator David Naked, they're also on the front page. On the back page, UE David campus ready. After 14 years, key facilities prepared for students. So you see how you're getting conflicting information. So I really hope Professor Antoine comes on the show next week. Timid Windies, Sammy calls for belief and confidence in must-win ODI, and Dates praises world-class Matthews West Indies A lose opener to South Africa A. That's all of the stories not all of the stories, on the front page and the back pages of the 3 daily newspapers in Trinidad and Tobago this morning. So now we can open up the lines and take some of your calls, and just in case you forgot the numbers, let me just bring it up for you. Oh my goodness, what did I do there? There we go. So you can start calling the program 281-1315, 281-1315. We're taking some of your calls at this point before we go to our morning poll. Let me think about that morning poll. I have a morning poll there, but I don't know if I should connect it more to the daily campuses. But anyway, you can take some of the calls at this point, 281-1315.
Hello, good morning.
So Charles, good morning.
Morning, Gabby.
Yeah, Richard, good morning.
Good morning to you.
You must sleep good. Anyway, this thing with this campus, is it, Richard, is it that UE figures that they will make because they want to be a global school of medicine? They don't have money already. But do you think that they will make more money if they turn the campus into a global school of medicine, where you'll have foreign international students coming across, and they will, of course, gain more? The school, you will benefit, instead of the law faculty, where we already have one in Trinidad, we have one in Barbados, right? Why would you want a next one?
Well, I think that's part of the concerns. I think UE would have looked at what they felt would work from a financial point of view in attracting students, because obviously you have St. George's in Grenada that that caters purely to international students from the United States. A lot of them are from the United States, and that has been a success for the Grenada economy and government. And so I think they are modeling along that kind of line. I'm thinking, I mean, the only clear answer I could get is if we get that interview with Professor Rosemary Bell Antoine, and she'll be able to clarify why they made a decision to go in that direction.
But all right, so then recently I heard where it have small enrollment of students for university. So again, where would they get the full complement to really make money to pay for everything that is there? Professors, the everything to outfit it, whatever it is.
Well, you're asking
Where's
questions
the
that I
money
can't
gonna
answer. You're asking rhetorical questions as you.
I
That's
know.
only something that the professor.
That is
the
something
principal
else.
can answer.
That is really something else. So have a good morning, y'all.
Yeah, and you see, it'll probably be cheaper for international students to get a medical degree here than, let's say, doing a medical degree in the United States, which is pretty expensive. Huh? So if you can attract international students from North America and Europe or other parts of the globe, you know, Africa, India, wherever, Asia, then and it's a competitive price, you can probably attract students, and plus you come into the Caribbean, so you know the weather is fairly stable.
Yeah.
Those words guardedly, but it is.
Yeah.
And so, you have things that you could use that to your competitive advantage. But as I say, the principle of you is the best one to answer that.
All right. Caller, morning.
Morning. I have 2 points to make, but I just want to touch on this UE thing. Every government seems to be hell-bent on doing what will not encourage forex in this country. Because the idea of the university, as I see it, would be a forex generator. But we seem to be fighting against that bad. Anyway, I ain't called to deal with that this morning. I called to deal with TTPS again. I saw 2 videos circulating on social media, 2 of which was very offensive. The first one was 5 young men were caught were detained or arrested. I don't know which one. But a police officer decided not to wear a body cam, but chose to use his personal cell phone to interview these fellas, to ask them the name and address.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
Information on social media.
I saw that. Yeah.
And that must be a violation of, you as a lawyer, Richard, can guide me and advise the TTPS. That must be a violation of people's human rights at that stage of an arrest. The second incident now is a man escorted some family member to the police station for some reason or the other. And because he was treated badly, he decided to record in the station. And the police decided now that is his house, and he going to run the man out of the station and threaten the man. I know what I do. I know what I would do. I know what I'll do for you, or some kind of statement like that. These police need to be raking and to have a conversation with them to let them know that you are here to serve the public, not to embarrass the public, not to threaten the public, not to intimidate the public. Somebody needs to be guarding the guards, and I have taken that mantle upon myself. But I don't have any way to suspend, to fine, to charge, to anything, anybody. But we need some kind of control over these rogue police officers, right?
Yeah.
I would like to hear your opinion, Richard, about videotaping people who are not charged and putting it up with your personal cell phone and putting it up on social. If you have a body cam and you take body cam footage, that is the police business. And you put it up on an official, like beyond the tape or something like that, I have no problem with that. But when you take a video of people and have them identify their name and their address and put it up on social media, another thing that they do, take pictures of bodies in the morgue. I can't blame the police alone. It could be the morticians, it could be the doctors, whatever it is. I highly suspect it's police. Then corpses in the morgue, that's supposed to be a confidential, secure area. We keep advantaging the society and nobody is speaking up about it. I'd like to hear your opinion, Richard.
Okay, thanks very much, Lincoln. Richard, do you have an opinion on that? Okay, so I think which is in the poll. Yeah, so we're taking your calls. The thing about it is, so you see, when they're ready, they can find things to record. But to just really and truly take people's fees and what's your name and where you live in and just post it up like that. If they are arrested, you charge them for something is a different thing. But
yeah, I don't think it was appropriate. I mean, because I saw the video and I was like, what is this? And I didn't know, I didn't even know if they were arrested or not. They were detained for some reason, and now I didn't follow the stories. I just saw it in passing.
Yeah, but just
and so I don't know if they actually found stuff in the car and they were arresting them for the stuff in the car because the car was stopped. So maybe they did find stuff and maybe they weren't arrested, but it's inappropriate.
Yeah, because if you find them with something, you ain't charge nobody for nothing, and you're just in the public.
But I don't know. Maybe they're going to be charged, but that doesn't matter. It's still inappropriate. That's not the forum.
Yeah.
And the TTPS needs to examine that, because people, Lincoln is right. You're presumed innocent, and until proven guilty. So that kind of showcasing people in that kind of way is for what purpose? What's your purpose? I don't know.
There's a backward step to I find.
Yeah, I don't know what the purpose of that was.
Yeah.
Because I saw it in passing, but I didn't really pay attention to it. I saw it and I kind of looked at it and I saw them saying their names and I was like, what the hell is this? But yeah.
Okay.
I don't think police officers should take personal video and post in a personal way stuff like that. That's not helpful.
I ain't get at all. Caller, morning to you.
Morning, sir. This is Linda. Morning, Richard.
Good morning.
This is a discussion about the use of the DB campus.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's very interesting because I think, well, first of all, before it was built, there must have been a business case that would set out why it was needed for a lower campus, okay? So I think it's just, the issue is to revisit that business case and try to understand why there's a deviation from the original underlying premise to what the university wants now, which is a medical school. But it's also really important to understand that if you have experience of working and teaching medical education, the kind of money you have to invest in the clinical simulation suites and so to teach medicine is very expensive. So even though you may earn foreign exchange, you're going to have a lot of expenses in terms of the initial investment, plus maintenance of all of that kind of high-tech teaching equipment. Plus you have to have people who already have those teaching skills and experience with using that kind of equipment. But on the other hand, I really don't think it would be very worthwhile for the country to have a campus that deals not just with law, but forensics and cybersecurity. And really and truly, to my mind, the biggest challenge to Trinidad and Tobago now is fixing the crime and security problem. There are a lot of people who would love to live there and invest there, but they wouldn't do it because they don't feel safe. So long term, if we could invest in that knowledge and development of the people to deal with that problem, first of all, to stamp it out and then prevent it from becoming the kind of nuisance that it is again, I think that would be a great thing. And I would really be praising any government that could put that in place. So thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah, and that is the kind of reasoned kind of discussion that should be taking place. Don't be putting out statements on both sides and playing out nationally. I think the country is tired of these nationals, lines in the sand kind of confrontations. Have reasoned discussions on, look, what is the best way forward, and is it like the issue of cybersecurity, the issue of crime, the issue of taking the country forward in a particular direction. That's a discussion. You raise valid points considering the medical issue. Can it be sustained What's the cost? How is UE financing all of this? Do they have a plan? I assume they have a plan because they are from an institution that deals with research. But, I mean, all of these are unknowns until we actually speak to the parties involved.
For real. All right, caller, good morning to you.
Good morning, everyone. I have a simple question. Where were Miss Antoine for the last 10 years? Where were all these voices for the last 10 years? Where were all these opinions for the last 10 years?
But Professor Antoine has not always been the principal of the UE. She has been there for about, what, 2 years or 3 years?
Yeah, but where were her voice? Where were UE voices? Where were all these voices? Where were all these inputs? Roy Tech been using it for the last, 5 years? The last was used was COVID 2020. So where were all these voices? Wrong is controlling everyone? He was talking about big work? Where were all the voices?
Well, we can't answer how long UE's plans took, and which is why I'm saying I hope the principal comes on so we can ask those kinds of questions. Why did it take? What happened in the last 10 years? And stuff like that. But to be fair, Professor Antoine, she wasn't there for the last 10 years.
All right, let's take a caller quick before we get into the morning poll. Caller, very quickly. Good morning.
Morning, gentlemen. I tend to disagree with the last caller in respect to this UE thing. You see, one of the things we keep forgetting is that UE is a regional institution and UE has an administration. And if we understand academic freedom, universities generally administer themselves and take that institution in a direction that they feel it should go, even if the state supports them or subsidizes them, as in the case of, say, Harvard, Columbia, right? This is unfortunate because if we want to be honest, when the law school was envisaged by the UNC administration between 2010 and 2015, nobody in the UE administration asked for that, That was the question at the time, Who asked for a law school? And Mr. Munilal was clear when he said that that is a dream of the a brainchild of the Prime Minister, which it really shouldn't be. It should be the UE directing where they feel they should go, approaching the regional governments for financial support. And that's where they go. Even if the state wants to implement something in UE, they need to sit with the university and do the proper consultation. And all that wasn't done. So that was where the initial mistake was made. And now we seem to be doubling down on that where, hey, something? We in charge. So that is the cabinet running the university and we'll do what we want, that kind of thing. And that is most unfortunate because in that kind of situation, you're hampering yourself by not having consultation and pulling all the resources together.
All right, caller, thanks so much.
All right, so I mean, we had 2 morning polls. I had 2 morning polls. One was with regard to the IT thing, and one is with regard to the David Campus one. So the David Campus one was: do you think that the PM was right to berate UE on the issue on the use of the David Campus? So we could go with that poll because I know we're going to the 7 o'clock news shortly. So you can vote on that poll. Do you think that the PM was right to berate UE on the use of the DB campus? That's our poll this morning. Of course, we want to get your opinions. We have our own opinions, but of course, this is where the democratic voting process takes place. Do you think the Prime Minister was right to berate UE on the use of the DB campus? That's our poll this morning. Of course, it's on the front page of 2 of the dailies this morning. So you can proceed to vote.
Yeah, so that's just like if you support yes or no.
Yes or no. It's just a yes or no. But like all our polls, it's yes or no.
All right, so you can start to vote on right now, people, as we have a minute or 2 to get up to the news time. And remember, you can continue your vote also throughout the news time also. All right. While I wait on the votes, I have a quick call coming in. Caller, do you hear where the poll is?
Yes, so good, Charles, but I only want to talk on the poll or the opening after.
If the guests can come back in and right at the right time, we'll open it.
Well, I held no for the poll, but I want to see my piece this morning.
Well, after 7, all right? Okay. So that's Zena saying no. All right, so. Okay, so where's the poll again, Richard?
It's on the screen.
Okay.
Do you think that the Prime Minister was right to berate UE on the use of the Debe campus? That's the poll this morning. So you can start voting on that, and of course, we'll tally the votes after the news, because it's now 7 a.m. on the dot, and it's time for our news. So we'll do the poll results after the news. News is next on The Breakfast Show.
The news you need, the clarity you deserve. Local, regional, global. This is Net Radio News Now.
This is your news update for Friday, May 23rd, 2025. I am Amanda Mitchell with New Era TT Radio and M&E TV. Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar has signaled the government's intention to save money by re-examining the state's expenditure on property rentals, private security services, legal services, and priority bus route passes. Speaking during a post-cabinet media conference yesterday, the Prime Minister revealed that $493 million was spent on property rentals in the last fiscal year, describing this as dead money. She explained that of 234 active leases, 193 are expired, and in some cases, landlords were collecting more than $15 million annually without valid contracts or cabinet approval. The government also intends to re-examine the $500 million bill being spent on security services, which does not include police or defense force services. Additionally, 625 PBR passes, many unaccounted for, will be recalled by July 1st, with those in need able to reapply through proper channels. Homeland Security Minister Roger Alexander has confirmed a major manpower shortage in the Trinidad and Tobago Fire Service, with over 420 positions currently vacant. Speaking at yesterday's post-cabinet briefing, the minister announced that Cabinet has approved the integration of more than 280 officers from the Auxiliary Fire Service to immediately strengthen the ranks. Training and integration exercises will begin shortly to ensure officers meet full operational standards. The move comes amid growing public concern over emergency response times, especially following the recent fire that claimed the lives of former MP Lisa Morris-Julian and her 2 children. Minister Alexander said the official report into that tragedy is under legal review. The Trinidad and Tobago Police Service says it is ready to support citizens applying for firearm users licenses. Speaking on CNC3's The Morning Brew, TTPS Media Ambassador ASP Owie Russell said citizens have the right to protect themselves and their homes, and police will help educate new firearm owners about gun ownership laws. His comments come as Prime Minister Persad-Bissessar promises to make FULs more accessible to qualified citizens. Acting Police Commissioner Junior Benjamin recently confirmed a noticeable increase in FUL applications since the election and said the process will soon be available online. You are listening to news on New Era TT Radio. In business news, Scotiabank has been named the Caribbean's best bank for 2025 by Global Finance magazine. In a release yesterday, Scotiabank Trinidad and Tobago's Managing Director Gail Pazos credited the award to the bank's strong financial performance and innovative digital solutions. Over the past year, the bank reported a return on assets of 1.89%, a return on equity of 14.24%, and an operational efficiency ratio of 46.6%. Scotiabank also rolled out a new digital onboarding process and launched tools allowing customers to interact directly with advisors through the Scotia Caribbean app. Global Finance praised the bank for its stability, innovation, and responsiveness to customer needs during challenging economic times. In international news, the Trump administration has revoked Harvard University's certification to enroll international students, escalating tensions with the prestigious institution. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem announced the decision, accusing Harvard of failing to comply with federal law and issuing a 72-hour ultimatum to turn over records of disciplinary actions and protest-related activities involving international students. Harvard has called the move unlawful and retaliatory, warning it threatens serious harm to both the university community and the nation. The school is working urgently to support over 6,700 international students who make up more than a quarter of its student body. The White House has demanded sweeping changes at Harvard, including reforms to hiring and teaching practices in the name of combating anti-Semitism, and has threatened to revoke the school's tax-exempt status and freeze billions in federal funding. That concludes your news update for today. I'm Amanda Mitchell for New Era TT Radio and M&E TV. The Breakfast Show with Wendell, Richard and Sir Charles continues right after this short break.
That was news now. Stay informed with New Era TT Radio, Net Radio.
Better. Join Sir Charles for the mid-morning mix and mingle, where good music, real talk, health, and family matters come together, and your voice is heard. Whether you're at work, on the go, or just taking a break, this is the perfect mix to keep you engaged, informed, and entertained. The mid-morning mix and mingle, weekdays, 9 a.m. to 12 noon on New Era TT Radio, Net Radio.
People often think about wellness in terms of physical health, nutrition, exercise, weight management, etc. But it is much more. Wellness is a holistic integration of physical, social, emotional, spiritual, intellectual, financial, occupational, and environmental state. Join our host, Terry Ann George, a health coach, author, mediator, and CEO of the Institute of Health and Fitness, as she discusses 8 elements with several professionals within the various dimensions of wellness. So let's kick burnout to the curb for good.
Join Terry and George for Dimensions. Fridays at 11 a.m. on New Era TT Radio, Net Radio.
Mornings just got better. You're locked into Net Radio Breakfast Show, fueling your day with the best music and real talk.
Cecil Rhodes by the gate. Peter, look the Englishman. We send Cecil Rhodes to Africa land. Peter, take Drake, take Raleigh, but leave Victoria for me. Peter, I just don't care what you say, but Mussolini, he can't get away. Why? This is my time for money. I'm burning. From these madman and woman, I feel the full weight of the hand. They made the oppressed law, they never care about the poor. Peter, these people had a day. Well, now it's time for Stalin to play. Peter, wait, I say Peter, wait. Peter, look, Ian Smith by the gate. Money. Peter, I don't want you to make fuss. Remember, I want Christopher Columbus. Money. Peter, look, the Englishwoman who on South Africa refused to put sanctions. Peter, I just don't care what you do, but Reagan going in the fire too. Why? This is my time for money. Blazing. This is your time for money. Bunning. Hit me now.
Morning vibe, fresh energy. This is the Net Radio Breakfast Show.
All right, everybody, welcome inside hour number 2 of your breakfast show right here on New Era TT Radio. Happy are we to have you inside, and of course, it is such a beautiful day on the outside, right? Of course, let's, as we talk about outside, let's check and see what's happening with the weather today.
Good morning again, Trinidad and Tobago. This is your weather update for Friday, the 23rd of May, 2025, from New Era TT Radio and M&E TV. Today we're looking at generally sunny, hazy, and breezy conditions with the likelihood of showers over a few areas. Tonight will be partly cloudy with showers over a few areas. We have some important weather advisories for you today. Gusty winds and street flooding are likely in the event of heavy downpours, so please exercise caution if you encounter any heavy rain. Additionally, a significant concentration of Saharan dust is present in the atmosphere. Persons sensitive to this change in air quality are expected to take the necessary precautions to protect their respiratory health. Temperature-wise, Trinidad can expect a maximum of 32 degrees Celsius today, with a minimum of 25 degrees Celsius. In Tobago, the maximum will reach 31 degrees Celsius, with a minimum of 26 degrees Celsius. With humidity factored in, the heat index will make it feel like 37 degrees Celsius in Trinidad and 36 degrees Celsius in Tobago, so please stay hydrated throughout this hot day. Sea conditions are moderate with wave heights near 2 meters in open waters and near 1 meter in sheltered areas, though waters may occasionally become choppy. The sun rose this morning at 5:42 and will set at 6:22 this evening. For those planning maritime activities today, high tides in Port of Spain will occur at 12:21 early this morning and 1:07 this afternoon, with low tides at 6:39 this morning and 6:41 this evening. In Scarborough, high tides will be at 12:11 early this morning and 12:51 this afternoon, with low tides at 6:36 this morning and 6:43 this evening. Looking ahead to Saturday, expect generally sunny, hazy, and breezy conditions with a few periods of cloudiness and showers, especially during the afternoon and favoring Trinidad. There's also a low 30% chance of isolated thunderstorm activity. This has been your weather update for today. Stay alert for those possible heavy downpours, and remember to take precautions if you're sensitive to the significant Saharan dust concentration. From all of us at New Era TT Radio and M&E TV, have a safe Friday.
S&H Rumbox, 137 Western Main Road, St. James, for all your retail and wholesale needs for alcohol and non-alcoholic beverages. Call us at 686-0599 or visit us at 137 Western Main Road, St. James. S&H Rumbox, drinking out of the box.
Great news, Caribbean. The Breakfast Show is now on M&E TV, bringing you entertaining conversations, vital information, and influential perspectives throughout Trinidad and Tobago and across the Caribbean region. Catch us on Digicel Channel 20, Flow Channel 111, Amplia Channel 117, Blink Channel 109, Trico Channel 154, and Airlink Channel 10. The Breakfast Show connects with the Caribbean and Trinidad and Tobago like never before. We're now on M&E TV.
Port of Spain, we are finally here. RSRR Productions, Married and Mischievous, finally comes to Port of Spain at Queen's Hall for 2 nights only on Saturday the 24th of May, 8:30 p.m. and Sunday the 25th at 6:30 p.m. Come see the play that everybody's talking about, strictly for adults only. The Scandalous, Married and Mischievous at Queen's Hall. Tickets available at all our usual outlets and at the Queen's Hall box office. This is not just a play, it's an experience. Don't miss it.
Advertise with us on New Era TT Radio, the fastest growing streaming platform for talk in Trinidad and Tobago. Audio and video ads welcome. Elevate your brand with us. Connect with us at newerattradio@yahoo.com or call us at 299-5156. Now what are you waiting for?
All right, so we are back, and of course, I just wanted to start getting into the votes. Let me just put up what the morning poll was before we get to our guest, but she's not in backstage yet. But let me just get to our guest. What's the poll? All right, here we go. So our morning poll this morning was, or is, do you think that the PM was right to berate UE on the use of the JB campus? That's our poll this morning. And of course, I'm going to start taking, I'm going to start tallying the votes, not taking the votes. So let me just get to the voting pool here. I think did it start with Annie Bunyan?
Yeah, I think it started with Annie.
Yeah, I think it did.
Yeah, there's plenty conversation before Annie.
So Annie says no. It does not. She does not. Then Dean Allen said yes. Annie said no. Dean Allen said yes. Boy Badesi says yes. Romantic. But we said, where's the part with promise? You know, romantic, intense, and passionate lover. You're bringing up a good point there. I always wondered whatever happened to that plywood factory, because it was something that Dr. Rowley had spoken about. And I think it was supposed to be in La Brea. In my mind, I think it was to be set somewhere like in La Brea. And I always wondered what the hell ever happened to that. It was mentioned and it was very gung-ho when it was mentioned, and all of a sudden it just disappeared.
Wood lice.
You know. So of course, romantic as passionate lovers, definitely yes. Steph says not. RJ says no. Romantic took that vote already. Blonde, okay. Abstain. Marlon Motley says no. Cheese Cats says no. Far Rockaway says no. No, Far Rockaway says yes. Luckily, you're bringing it up. My God, I was that you must be charged before your picture appears in public. Yeah. Kazim Mohammed says no. Yeah, I wasn't sure what the circumstances were in that. I don't know if they were charged or not. As I said, I didn't really look at it. Yes. Kelcher Cambridge says yes. Structured wrong, can't vote. Gregory Boy says no to the poll. Carol Guevara says no. Going on. Okay. Okay.
Plenty chat going on.
Susan Jessup says no. Slick Money Grip says no. Who's this? Cheryl Henry says hell no. No to the pool. CJ says no. Magic says no. Miguel Gonzalez says no. No.
Aisha, but I see. Basin, Aisha.
Okay, Lord, that's a lot of commentary. Lord have mercy. So let's be real talking on this chat. I already follow the chat. That is Wendell's thing.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, so yes, they're messing around with the future of TNT's youth. Candace, wait.
Yeah, because sometimes we have to read through all that to find out if they're saying yes or no.
Yeah, yes.
You know, so they put all the yes or no first and then give all the reason after.
No. Great morning, guys. Beauty culture. Trinidad Split. Trinidad Split vote before. No. All right. Okay. Oh no, one more. I missed one more. That was it. And that's it. All right. So that's it for at least for those in the stream. And just a reminder of the morning poll. Sir Charles, I don't know if you have any votes.
I have a few of them here.
Yeah, so the morning poll was this: do you think that the PM was right to berate UE on the use of the DB campus? So that's let me get some of your votes.
Yeah, so Wendy Ann says no, Frank says no, Kenwin says yes, Marcus says yes, Dre says no, Louis says no, Pauline says yes, Sexy Red says yes, Anand says yes. And that's it.
All right, great. So we have 38 people voting on the poll this morning, and that's our poll. You can see it on the screen. Do you think that the Prime Minister was right to berate UE on the use of the DB campus? Of course, as I said, it's on the front page of 2 of the dailies this morning, where she's saying basically, don't test me, UE. 38 people voted on the poll this morning. Of the 38 people, 26 of you said no, you do not think that the Prime Minister was right to berate UE on the use of the DB campus. And 12 of you said yes, you think she was in her right to do it. So 12 said yes, 26 said no. The nays have it this morning. And that's it for our poll this morning. The poll is now closed. And of course, we are now going into our interview. I see that Miss Collymore is already backstage. So we're moving into talking about copyright. And of course, Miss Rachael N. Collymore is a WIPO-certified IP trader, and she will be joining us in all of 10 seconds or so. Because we're now moving to our Let's Talk segment on The Breakfast Show. Yeah. So good morning, Miss Collymore. Yeah, good morning, Miss Collymore.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
And thanks for joining us on The Breakfast Show this morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Yes, we really appreciate you taking the time to speak with us.
Likewise, thank you for having me.
Yeah, and I know you are very versed in this topic that we're about to discuss, which of course got some prominence by some events that took place with regard to the photograph that was taken of Black Stalin, and it went to court, and so it spurred people talking about copyright issues. And I had cause to look at some of the social media discourse in it, and some people supported the photographer. Some people, of course, were emotional about the legacy of Black Stalin, and you can understand where that is coming from. But rather than specifically zone in on the issue, let's talk about the broader scope of copyright and what constitutes copyright and how people could navigate the issue of copyright in Trinidad and Tobago. And sometimes you may be breaking copyright and you don't even know it, especially in an era of social media and stuff like that. So, good morning officially again, Miss Collymore, and thanks for joining us on The Breakfast Show. So, in terms of copyright, how would you?
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, how would you look at the overview of starting the discussion?
Well, good morning again. To start off the conversation, we need to understand what is intellectual property. And many people in this Trinidad and Tobago ecosystem have created something at some point in time or another. They would have written something, they would have maybe created a piece of art, and that is what we consider as to be your intellectual property, your creation that has been put forward in a tangible format. And in Trinidad and Tobago, copyright is an automatic right. From the time it has been built and created and put out in a physical format, it is copyrightable.
There's no requirement to actually formalize that copyright by depositing it in some sort of registry.
There's no requirement. I remember many years ago when I first started writing, a copyright agency, in the sense that they would have taken your work and copyright it. And I found out later on that no, it was not a copyright organization as such, but a collective management organization. So we have the automatic protection, and for persons who wish to have that extra layer of protection, especially when you're dealing with written works, they can either put it in a book, put it in some blog or what have you, and have that copyrighted work have that extra layer of protection through either registering with an ISBN number, through, if it's music, registering with a collections management organization that will have the responsibility for collecting your royalties on your behalf and getting that kind of traction through the collections management organization, to which we have about 4 in Trinidad and Tobago in terms of music and also literary works. So we have CUT, TTCO, we have the Reprographic Rights Organization that treats with literary works and published works. So we have that extra layer, if I may say that once more. And also, we also have what is known as the poor man's copyright. So someone may have created something and they may register and mail that work back to themselves. So they self-address it and send it out via registered mail, and that timestamp would be there. They don't open it and keep it there for any issue that may arise in terms of infringement or what have you. And I would also say that with technology and social media and emails, you also have that dates registered from the time you put it out there in the public space.
Yeah, because the basic issue is date of creation.
Yes, that's the basic issue. Yes.
Yeah.
And ownership. So you may have created it, but in time you decide that you... Go ahead.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
You can go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, because it's the date of creation, but also to prove that you're the owner, because you could sell ownership.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can.
Yeah.
You can transfer ownership to someone else.
But in the terms of the nuance of this, and I think in the case that was very public, and in terms of social media with regard to the Black Stalin case particularly, and let's look at it from a generic point of view. You are in a public space, and you are a creative, and you have many creatives who are musicians, actors, you are a singer, whatever. Somebody is a professional photographer is present, takes a photograph of you.
What you said? I think I lost you for a minute. Can you repeat what you said?
I said I'm referencing the case from the Black Stalin case, but I'm speaking from a generic point of view, that as a creative, specifically for creatives who are performers, who are singers, actors, whatever type of performer, dance, and a professional photographer captures an image of you, and that image, and you may say, oh my God, that's a really great image, I want to use this on my brochure or whatever. But even though it's an image of you, and I think this is where a lot of people have a problem, because they are saying, it is me who is in the image, and you didn't ask permission. Well, I'm just giving the arguments on social media. You didn't ask permission, even though I suppose there may have been some sort of consensual permission, because you were present at the event and they may have been allowed. But it is still my image that you have utilized, and why am I not allowed to utilize that if I am furthering my own career?
My image.
Yes, because you use my image. Explain
Correct.
how that works in a copyright arena.
So, first and foremost, the photographer who has taken a work, who has captured that work, he also has automatic ownership of that work, less in case he is an employee or she is an employee, where they would have done it on behalf of another, and that ownership would be vested in the rights holder, which would have been the authorizing company. In terms of your image, yes, this is your image. Trinidad and Tobago, we do not have provisions in our laws for image rights, but the photographer would have captured the work in a public space. And because it was captured in a public space, he has the ownership of that work. Further, I would say, if there was no prior discussion to say that I do not wish my photograph to be taken, or it was a private event or private home where somebody entered that domain, that would have been a different conversation. But this was done in a public space. And more than likely, he was there in the capacity as a photojournalist. He may have been invited to capture the event and cover the event on behalf of the respective newspapers, and he did his job in that regard, but retain the ownership because more than likely he's an independent contractor versus an employee. So in that case, the ownership is, the copyright ownership is his, and not necessarily the person whose image he captured.
Yeah. So how I'm taking you down the rabbit hole in a kind of way in terms of another context. You are let's say you are at a West Mall, and you are a public personality, but you're in a public space, or you don't even have to be a public personality, and you are standing up in front of a store, or you're walking past, but you are very well dressed, or you're wearing a very fashionable statement, and a photographer takes your picture, and that picture, without your consent or anything, they just take that picture.
Consent is important.
So the consent is important. So that's what I want to explain. So that even though they take your picture and they publish it, it doesn't mean that they automatically get copyright to that picture because you didn't consent.
No, copyright is automatic. It's an automatic. Is an automatic form of IP. However, if he or she wishes to commercialize that work, that's a different conversation. He would have had to been given the permission in order to do that, and gotten permission from the image holder in that regard.
So if he publishes that photograph, let's say it's commercialized because he's doing a job. Let's say he's working for a newspaper, and it was a segment on fashionable Trinidadians. I'm just contextualizing it. And he puts that photograph in one of the daily newspapers. It's commercialized in a sense because it's in a commercial newspaper, and that is part of his job. So there's already a monetization in the background. The person who's the subject of that photograph,
yes,
it's in a public space in West Mall, because I gave it as a West Mall issue. It's in a public space. What rights does the person who's the subject of the image have with regard to that being published in the newspaper? Is there a blank because you're in a public space and the image was taken? It's a fait accompli, or they can object?
They can object in the sense that they could say that they did not give permission for this picture to be used in that light and request removal of the work from, or maybe some kind of compensation for the use. But they don't have the copyright to the work.
Right.
That part needs to be clear. They don't own the copyright. However, they can argue that permission was not given for this to be published, or for my image to be taken and used in this way.
But what kind of latitude do you have? Because you have plenty content creators in social media. You have plenty influencers on social media who may capture an event involving people who are not consenting necessarily to what is taking place. It could be an altercation in a
Yes.
in a KFC. It could be whatever sort of funny incident that took place that happened to be captured on camera, and it's in a public space and it's a public environment.
It could be.
And it's posted up on social media. How would that work?
So I don't know if you remember, years ago there was this discussion about persons capturing people in carnival, photographs being taken in carnival, and there was an issue about the person who has been captured have rights, stating that they do not hold any rights because of a provision. Our laws do not provide for image rights, and because the individual or individuals are in a public space, they do not have any rights to ownership there. So it may be, how to put it, a bit disheartening that your picture can be taken once you're in a public space, and this happens a lot of times when you see when news are taking place or they're capturing some content on a particular topic or another. Sometimes you see people in the background walking past the videographer or capturing the landscape where people are there. Sometimes you may see in a case, if there is a child, if there's a minor, that's a different conversation. The minor's face may be blurred. Or if somebody says, okay, I do not want my photo to be in this, if they see it and they say, I do not consent to my photo being used in this, they may blur that person's face. But most times you see people's full image on display in the recording, in the photo, as the case may be. And I know it's a touch and go situation, but we need to understand that whilst the issue here is about your image, you as the beholder of that image can say, I refuse, I do not want this. But in terms of our laws, we do not have image rights protection. You mentioned about somebody who is a well-known celebrity or what have you, there's a little bit of more flexibility there because permission has to be granted. Beyonce, for instance, her image is protected, so you can't just use Beyonce's image in any product or any ad just like that without paying for use of that image. We don't have that level of, we don't have those protection law here where the image is concerned, and maybe it is an opportunity for consideration as we go forward, because in other parts of the world they have image rights protection.
If you could talk a little bit on image rights, because I think for a lot of our listening and viewing public, they may not be sure, because you've referenced it a couple of times, the issue, well, you don't have any laws concerning image rights. If you could go into a little bit more on what image rights.
Can you repeat the last part?
If you could go a little bit more into what image rights laws, what do they mean? What do they protect?
Okay, sorry about that. We were getting a little bit of this kind of loading problems. So image rights has to do with capturing one's likeness, image and likeness without unauthorized use, without having the permission to use, and seeks to protect one's image and likeness in the discourse of you going about yourself and people just picking up a phone and snapping you. America has those protections, and so therefore you cannot just go and snap somebody without their express permission. We don't have that, unfortunately, but we do have the right to say no. I will stress that you have the right to say no. And in another conversation, I heard a person saying capturing our image, but we are in a global village. We are in a social dynamic where it's a catch-22 situation, and we do not want to basically create a roadblock industry or a creative economy. So media professionals, photographers, creators of content, makeup artists, dancers, you name it, all play a part in this ecosystem, and therefore we need to be cognizant of that. But at the same time, each individual needs to be cognizant of their own rights. No one right trumps the other, and that needs to be clear.
Yeah. Do you think that image rights, image rights of legislation would be something that would be productive for the government to consider?
I think they would need to take all sides into consideration, the pros and the cons, because whilst it's easy to say, yes, we need to have image rights protection, I think we may end up into a bigger problem where it may stunt the development of the sector. But I do think it is something worth considering for the good of the nation, especially in light of what we are seeing today and what people are saying in terms of having the ability to protect themselves from possible, and I say this carefully, possible exploitation.
Okay. I mean, would you be willing to take some calls? I mean, from some of our listeners and viewers?
Sure, no problem.
So we can open up the lines at this point for people who may have a copyright question, and Ms. Collymore will address it. Of course, the number to call is 281 or 218?
Yeah, you're right.
281-1315. 281-1315. You know, sometimes you second guess yourself.
Yeah, you do.
281-1315. 281-1315. You can take a couple of your calls for Ms. Collymore, of course, who is an IP trainer and the founder of Power Media Hub. Of course, all things copyright, she is quite knowledgeable on, and talking about image rights. That whole carnival issue, I know, is one, because you people generally just take photographs of people playing mass, and I remember Carnival Bands Association had objected. Then NCC had gotten into the conversation. But if I'm just taking a picture of somebody in a wonderful costume who's posing for me, it's not fine. Because usually they would ask and say,
yes,
can
it
I
is.
take it?
It is.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So that wouldn't be problematic.
Accreditation is important, and with respect to Carnival, especially for media photographers who are applying their trade under the official title of a photojournalist or a media professional, NCC issues license for them to come and ply their trade during the Carnival season. So they have protection by virtue of that license, but at the same time, according to IP, and I would quote from them, they said that if the photographer if the photograph is for commercial purposes and is taken along the carnival venue, the person must be accredited. And accreditation means an individual, non-transferable and revocable right of access to one or more areas at a venue for a specified period, solely for the purpose of carrying out the role to be performed by the accredited media as specified in the application that they would have signed when the license was granted. But the license does not give to use the IP rights.
Oh, I get you. Yeah, good morning, caller.
Yeah, hi. Morning, everyone. Okay, my question. Is it a good rule of thumb just to get people's permission rather than just because I know because when I talk to filmmakers, they say now they have to angle the camera because, you know, if you take a thing of Royal Castle, it could end up in a whole kind of drama story. And so how you angle your camera, I know photographers say it's best before you could have taken a photo. Now they get permission from people. Can I take your photo? even when you're traveling,
Yes.
people like, I can remember in Holland just taking a photo of my friend on a swing. I tried to say, you can. Adventurous, I was impressed. He said, you cannot take any photos of me. And I said I was not taking, and I showed him that, see, it was of my friend on the swing, and he was not in the camera and stuff. But I also want to ask, the Black Stalin thing, being in a paid event, a person, I don't know if you need to legally state that you cannot take any flash or photography, anything to prevent, because all images. Could you say that in your private event?
That's a bit for me. When you say being in a paid event, exactly what
like if I go to Queens.
Can you clarify that a bit for me? When you say being in a paid event about flash. But that's different. Queen's Hall, Central Bank Auditorium.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ms. Collymore.
Sorry, there's a bit of delay in the call. So what I was saying, in Queen's Hall, Central Bank Auditorium, and other places like that, it is known from the start that no flash photography is allowed in those spaces. And further, most times when people hold events in those spaces, the authorized photographer and or videographer, they have the rights to capture the event, capture the performances, capture the crowd during the execution of that event. So it's a little bit different there. So, as I said, and those are rules that have been imposed by the respective space.
Yeah, go ahead, Dean. What you were asking again?
No, so
Sorry, what did you say?
Is it that you have to pay as a private space? What is the control I have in my private space to a photographer taking image rights? Is it like a shared between the artist, the owner of the pub, and the photographer?
No. Okay, so I think there's a bit of blur. I think there's a lot of. I think you're blurring the issue somewhat. A public space is a public space. However, if you are the owner of a space, you can impose whatever rules you wish to govern how your space is utilized. That is within your rights as the owner of a space. You can do that. That's a personal thing. That's a private thing. But if as I said, in the natural course of any event space, these are the conditions. If you are the person, you are the performer, or you are the person who is renting the space and you are going to host an event, you can put whatever conditions for your event. That is a matter of choice.
I think it's. Yes. We have another call on the line. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, folks. Norfolk, Virginia here. Good morning, Ms. Collymore. Thank you for being on. I have a question here for you in relation to the organizations that exist in Trinidad and Tobago, the copyright organizations like COT and others. What mechanisms do you have with the other side of the global village, let's say North America and Europe and so on? If for some reason, an organization or an individual wants to use, whether it's music or an image or written information, for commercial purposes or whatever, do you have any sort of network with similar copyright organizations to make sure you protect the works of such artists and so on? And how can one go about to make sure that if you want to use material from an artist in Trinidad, what's the process? Is there one in place to do this? And I will listen over here. Thank you again for being here this morning, and thanks guys for hosting this very important information bit here. Thank you.
That's a very good question, I would say. First and foremost, let me just clarify a few things. The copyright organizations in Trinidad and Tobago are collective management organizations, and it is a bit of a misnomer to think that, okay, they copyright the work. They don't. They collect on behalf of their members through the repertoire that is given to them when members sign up to be a part of their organization. With respect to that, if an artist, a musician, a producer is a part of the respective copyright, the collective management organization, they have the responsibility for collecting royalties on behalf of the work. In terms of someone wanting to engage with that work, two things can happen. They can go directly to the rights holder and request permission, or in some cases, and most cases, they go to the collections management organization requesting use, and a license will be granted. I'll even say that in terms of music, when you go to spaces like Queen's Halls and others, the events holder has to take out a license to use in the pursuit of the event where music is being played and utilized. So it's not just a matter of, okay, this is happening or somebody's hosting a show and there's no kind of protection. The license is in place to cover those bases. In terms of literary works, we have the Trinidad and Tobago Reprographic Rights Organization that treat a lot of times with published textbooks and other. And also in the wider space, we have the Library of Congress that records and documents works of persons who would have published works and others. And we have the ISBN numbers that we use to track the metadata for published works. And we also have the ISRC code in music that could also track where the music has been utilized, so that you can either collect royalties or dispute an issue where someone would have infringed the work.
You have another caller there. Caller, morning to you.
And the same goes for works of art.
Yes, my inquiry is in relation to something that you see very regularly on social media, where there's a standoff between public officers, and in particular you see it with police officers and members of the public, where each, in some instances, both are filming the other, both is objecting to it. I wonder if your guests could comment on what are the limitations, what are the objections, what are the rights of each party in those circumstances, as very often it leads to a lot of conflict.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, caller. So those kind of situations, when the police, sometimes the police say, "Don't take me."
It's a public space. It's a public space. It's a public space, and the police officer is representing the institution of the law, and therefore, in cases of, especially now where you see a lot of people talk about police brutality, persons would immediately take out a camera or a phone to capture, to avoid any issue of doubt on behalf of the facts that may have been doctored, or maybe even to protect themselves in terms of show that this is the sequence of events that have occurred. And now we have police officers wearing body cams that can also capture and protect themselves as well when they are engaging with the public. So it's protection for both sides, I would say. If there is a case where, like, you have gone into a police station and other places of having no photographs or recording taking place in these spaces, including hospitals as well. So please be aware of those things.
So once a place gives some sort of notice, whether verbal or by sign, that immediately starts to curtail.
Verbal is a little bit tricky.
It's better if it's a notice.
Yes, in writing. Let's save yourself some trouble. Put it in writing.
Okay. All right. Do you have any more other calls on the line, Sir Charles?
No, not right now. But I was actually wondering myself, with so much content being shared like online now, how are the copyright laws keeping up with all that is happening? And if it is, or if it's not, what are some of the problems that maybe that you see that could, or like conflicts taking place in the social media world because of all that's happening?
Okay, just to clarify a question, are you speaking specific to local conditions, or are you speaking to local versus interaction with the global space where content is shared?
But yeah, well, basically, like, well, seeing that let's bring it to local, because there are so many things happening. People are doing different memes. People are claiming ownerships for all of these different things that are happening where copyrights is concerned now, and people now are waking up to it. And there are more and more laws, which seem to be kind of confusing to a lot of people. How are is there a bridge between that? Where people of themselves don't really get confused with all that is taking place where the law is concerned.
I would say that our copyright law is very extensive and treats with. Sorry, there's a bit of this.
Yeah, I'm getting a little noise coming back. Richard, I don't know if it's from your end. Yeah.
No.
Okay. But go ahead. Yeah.
Area.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
Treats with addition of words, chapter related well, because to be on neighbor's right as the author of the work has been infringed upon, and their work used without permission or without compensation, they can sue and go to the court, or they can seek mediation. We have the body influence WIPO trust, IP trust. We could do some kind of assistance. We also have the alternative dispute resolution center, and you could also get some kind of assistance. But the costs are at your disposal, and there are other resources to avoid the court system through mediation, through online platforms that are the issue. But our copyright law protects the individual from the time the work has been created. You have the protection, and anyone can access the Copyright Act by Googling it, or even going to the center, which I'm a part of, and we also have the World Intellectual Property Organization. They also put information out there for the public to be cognizant of their rights and what is available to them.
Yeah, you're breaking up a lot in terms. You're breaking up a lot, Miss Collymore, in terms of your internet connection.
Yeah, let's take a final one now, Richard.
Yeah, it's breaking up a lot. Well, I don't know if it makes sense.
But let's take it. We'll have a question in the system. Caller, are you there?
Hello.
Yeah.
I'm calling on the poll.
I'm hearing you now. Can you repeat?
Yeah. Go ahead, caller.
I'm calling on the poll, Sir Charles. You're not talking the poll now.
Oh no, we're not doing any poll. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Miss Collymore, it's just about 8 a.m. and this is where we wrap up in terms of our interviews. So I want to thank you so much for bringing your expertise to the breakfast show this morning. I mean, it is appreciated when professionals like yourself take time to speak with us and speak to the listening and viewing public, because it's important to have these kind of conversations. So thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Yeah, I think the internet is giving a lot of trouble there.
Yes, I'm hearing you now. Thank you for having me.
All right, great. So thanks so much and have a fantastic weekend. All right, so this is where we would close off the interview. And of course, this is where we, it's just 8 a.m. on the dot. So you know what happens now. This is where we take our break for the 8 a.m. news. And of course, when we come back, we'll wrap up on the breakfast show this morning.
The news you need, the clarity you deserve. Local, regional, global. This is Net Radio News Now.
This is your news update for Friday, May 23rd, 2025. I am Amanda Mitchell with New Era TT Radio and M&E TV. Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar has signaled the government's intention to save money by re-examining the state's expenditure on property rentals, private security services, legal services, and priority bus route passes. Speaking during a post-cabinet media conference yesterday, the Prime Minister revealed that $493 million was spent on property rentals in the last fiscal year, describing this as dead money. She explained that of 234 active leases, 193 are expired, and in some cases, landlords were collecting more than $15 million annually without valid contracts or cabinet approval. The government also intends to re-examine the $500 million bill being spent on security services, which does not include police or defense force services. Additionally, 625 PBR passes, many unaccounted for, will be recalled by July 1st, with those in need able to reapply through proper channels. Homeland Security Minister Roger Alexander has confirmed a major manpower shortage in the Trinidad and Tobago Fire Service, with over 420 positions currently vacant. Speaking at yesterday's post-cabinet briefing, the minister announced that Cabinet has approved the integration of more than 280 officers from the Auxiliary Fire Service to immediately strengthen the ranks. Training and integration exercises will begin shortly to ensure officers meet full operational standards. The move comes amid growing public concern over emergency response times, especially following the recent fire that claimed the lives of former MP Lisa Morris-Julian and her 2 children. Minister Alexander said the official report into that tragedy is under legal review. The Trinidad and Tobago Police Service says it is ready to support citizens applying for firearm users licenses. Speaking on CNC3's The Morning Brew, TTPS Media Ambassador ASP Owie Russell said citizens have the right to protect themselves and their homes, and police will help educate new firearm owners about gun ownership laws. His comments come as Prime Minister Persad-Bissessar promises to make FULs more accessible to qualified citizens. Acting Police Commissioner Junior Benjamin recently confirmed a noticeable increase in FUL applications since the election and said the process will soon be available online. You are listening to news on New Era TT Radio. In business news, Scotiabank has been named the Caribbean's best bank for 2025 by Global Finance magazine. In a release yesterday, Scotiabank Trinidad and Tobago's Managing Director Gail Pazos credited the award to the bank's strong financial performance and innovative digital solutions. Over the past year, the bank reported a return on assets of 1.89%, a return on equity of 14.24%, and an operational efficiency ratio of 46.6%. Scotiabank also rolled out a new digital onboarding process and launched tools allowing customers to interact directly with advisors through the Scotia Caribbean app. Global Finance praised the bank for its stability, innovation, and responsiveness to customer needs during challenging economic times. In international news, the Trump administration has revoked Harvard University's certification to enroll international students, escalating tensions with the prestigious institution. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem announced the decision, accusing Harvard of failing to comply with federal law and issuing a 72-hour ultimatum to turn over records of disciplinary actions and protest-related activities involving international students. Harvard has called the move unlawful and retaliatory, warning it threatens serious harm to both the university community and the nation. The school is working urgently to support over 6,700 international students who make up more than a quarter of its student body. The White House has demanded sweeping changes at Harvard, including reforms to hiring and teaching practices in the name of combating anti-Semitism, and has threatened to revoke the school's tax-exempt status and freeze billions in federal funding. That concludes your news update for today. I'm Amanda Mitchell for New Era TT Radio and M&E TV. The Breakfast Show with Wendell, Richard, and Sir Charles continues right after this short break.
That was news now. Stay informed with New Era TT Radio, Net Radio.
Port of Spain, we are finally here. RSRR Productions, Married and Mischievous, finally comes to Port of Spain at Queen's Hall for 2 nights only on Saturday the 24th of May, 8:30 p.m. and Sunday the 25th at 6:30 p.m. Come see the play that everybody's talking about, strictly for adults only. The Scandalous, Married and Mischievous at Queen's Hall. Tickets available at all our usual outlets and at the Queen's Hall box office. This is not just a play, it's an experience. Don't miss it.
Hey, Alfie, what you doing there?
Hey, boy. Padro, I'm marking a line on the pavement here, boy. Too much people like too much confusion. I stand in the ground.
Like you get a license, huh?
Yeah, I get a license to laugh. Hey, boy, I went Married and Mischievous in Cipriani College with ma. Oh, God, I real laugh. I real like that play. Yeah, I hear they going Queen's Hall. Oh, shit, man, you come back again. You like to tape all the damn time. Hey, I hear Married and Mischievous going Queen's Hall. Yeah, Saturday the 24th of May at 8:30 p.m. and Sunday the 25th at 6:30 p.m. That's all them people that like to cross the lighthouse. Oh, God, that play was good. Oh, God, I laugh.
Can you patsy there?
You want to carry Patsy? Yeah, you should carry Patsy. She gonna really like it. Don't you always cut in your ass.
What you say there?
Yeah, what? They say nothing.
Like you want somebody wake up or?
You want somebody wake me up, boy? I stand in my ground. Come now. Come.
Port of Spain, we are finally here. RSRR Productions, Married and Mischievous, finally comes to Port of Spain at Queen's Hall for 2 nights only on Saturday the 24th of May, 8:30 p.m. and Sunday the 25th at 6:30 p.m. Come see the play that everybody's talking about, strictly for adults only. The Scandalous, Married and Mischievous at Queen's Hall. Tickets available at all our usual outlets and at the Queen's Hall box office. This is not just a play, it's an experience. Don't miss it.
Advertise with us on New Era TT Radio, the fastest growing streaming platform for talk in Trinidad and Tobago. Audio and video ads welcome. Elevate your brand with us. Connect with us at newerattradio@yahoo.com or call us at 299-5156. Now, what are you waiting for?
Of course, this is where we wrap it up on the breakfast show on this Friday morning. The weekend has begun, people. So put a smile on your face. Looking forward to this weekend. And of course, theater is on at Queen's Hall on Saturday at 8:30 and Sunday at 6:30 with Married and Mischievous. You should not miss it. It's the first time we are in Port of Spain because we opened in San Fernando and then we went to Cipriani College for 2 weekends where, we had packed houses, and now we're heading to Queen's Hall. Finally in Port of Spain, we are here Saturday at 8:30, Sunday at 6:30 this weekend. Strictly 18 years and over adults only. Should not miss it. It's going to be a fantastic weekend. We're so looking forward to it, and we have so much fun doing that play, and trust me, you're going to have fun too. When they say it's an experience, we mean it's an experience. So,
before you go, Richard, with listening back to the interview there, I mean, a lot of information being shared in between there, but this whole thing I've covered, it could be confusing at times too for a lot of people.
Yeah, it is. It's a very complex area, even in law. It's a very complex area, and that's why you have all kind of big cases sometimes that go on with did you sample my song? Did you take my song and make it your own? And you have all of those big cases that take place internationally with regard to copyright. So it's a huge area, not only of law, but of public concern. And because the world becomes more and more interconnected and more global, and you have so many people creating content, you know, all the time on social media. Every time you go on social media and somebody posts up something, that's content.
Yes, and people are constantly looking for it.
Yeah, so you know, it's a huge area. But of course, on Monday, we have a special guest related to the copyright issue, but we have some of the people actually involved in that case. And I'm talking about some of the actual people involved in that case that will be joining us on Monday in terms of that Black Stalin photograph issue. So it will be even more intense in terms of our conversation. So have a fantastic weekend. Whatever you do, remember to smile and laugh. It's great for your health. This has been The Breakfast Show.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Wake up, it's a brand new dawn. The Breakfast Show got the vibes turned on.